Hi, this is Jim Bratton with Marmo Podcast. Today we're talking to Tyler Robert, and you're with Build Galveston Community Development Corporation. Thank you for joining us, Tyler.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
I looked over your website a little bit, so I have just a sense of what you do, but tell me exactly what Build Galveston does.
So we are the only community development corporation for the city of Galveston. I think probably throughout the county of Galveston as well.
Really?
We were formed back in 2021 as an initiative out of Vision Galveston. I believe that was through recommendation number 56 out of 78 OSOI recommendations they received from the public. And in that recommendation was the formation of a community development corporation. What we're primarily tasked to do is strengthen effectively the community, and we do that two ways. First is through the development pathways for attainable workforce housing here on the island, and the revitalization of underserved communities here as well.
So do you have, this is the CDC, right? Do you have a geographic boundary?
So it's the entire city of Galveston, so that's where we operate out of. Currently, we are initiating some projects for the Old Central Carver Park neighborhood for community revitalization. But when we're talking about the development workforce housing, we're looking all throughout the island to put that.
Let's look at the restoration renovations you were talking about first, and I really want to talk about this. So worker style or affordable housing, whatever. My nomenclature may not be right, but I think I know what you're talking about. On your restoration, what areas are you working on and what are you doing?
Right now, we've just launched the Old Central Carver Park Community Project.
Mm-hmm.
That is a restoration project in partnership with Centerpoint Energy and Rebuilding Together Houston. So we've been given a grant from Centerpoint and the Mary Moody Northern Foundation to do some restoration in the Old Central Carver Park neighborhood. In our grant, we wrote in capacity for Rebuilding Together Houston, who does a lot of this restoration in the eastern part of Houston. And so they have quite a bit of experience, over 40 years, doing revitalization work in those neighborhoods. So we wanted to partner with somebody that had a lot of experience doing that. We want to bring that to the island. And so what we're looking at is targeting a few homes as our pilot project to go in and make them safe, more livable, and energy efficient, because we also want to tie in some of the center points.
What would be the criteria for someone that wanted to, say, apply for that?
So for this one, we've worked with the neighborhood association to help us target some first initial homes. We've looked really around, probably like 5-block radius around Mountain Olive Baptist Church, north of Broadway, to really just give us an impact for feel. And we're probably just going to do 3 or 4 homes right here off this, but we hope this becomes an annual project that we do. But we're really just going in and making sure those homes are safer, making sure we'll do things such as making the homes, I would say, we're looking at staircase, and we're looking at sealing the home, making it more livable.
Basic modernizations to...
Obviously, we want to make sure that anything home that we try to put out for this is, you're limited by scope of the grant and everything.
Oh, sure.
That's one of the tough things you have to navigate is cost of balancing that out in this first phase of this project. We've actually gone out with Rebuilding Together Houston's inspectors to look at the first kind of applicants for this project. And we're just trying to narrow down on like I said, those first 3 or 4 homes. And we're hope to have those beginning construction maybe in March. So
great. That's coming up pretty soon then.
Yes, right around the corner.
And your community associations or civic associations were the beginning point for, as you made your search or people applied, then that was a funnel, if you would.
We wanted to make sure we had the neighborhood association, the neighborhood community at large, be the ones to direct this. Right. We didn't want to come in and tell people what housing we were going to do. So we wanted to make sure that we had partners within the community that were leading this initiative.
I'll look forward to following that up, by the way.
Absolutely.
I've seen that in other cities, and as a former resident of Houston's East Side, I've seen it firsthand in our neighborhood. Yeah, I'll be anxious to see how that proceeds. That's one fork of the area of expertise that you're working in. Tell me about for one thing, define the new housing thing that you're looking at, the more affordable residences.
Yeah, so we coined it as attainable workforce housing.
Perfect.
And when we say that, we're really targeting those individuals or families earning between the 80% to 120% area median income. For reference, the greater Houston metro for 2023, that was about 55,000 to just under 80,000 in earnings for the year. So that's effectively what we're looking at in terms when we talk about this attainable workforce housing. Galveston, I think for a long time, has a number of organizations that work in more of that affordable housing. And we wanted to make sure that we were providing that next layer of housing.
That's another niche.
Yes. And obviously COVID, I think, probably expedited the need for some of this, but it really changed the landscape of what a community really needs, and introducing that next phase of middle class into this needed population that needs services.
It's very necessary.
It is, yes. And we've seen that here lately. I know Galveston, that's been in their comprehensive plan since, 2006.
Right, and it's gotten
2011.
more necessary every year.
Yes. And I know someone who's lived in the area in Galveston County, we keep hearing about Airbnbs and everything, how that's having an effect. Obviously, the COVID issues related to materials, just costs of just with inflation.
What's your source of funding on a project like that?
So Build Galveston itself is completely funded by philanthropy. We actually initiated the development of a Galveston Essential Workforce Housing Fund, 1 LLC, which was a Delaware LLC formed under Build Galveston's nonprofit status. So that in itself is a fund that was developed in partnership with philanthropy to provide access to capital for this workforce level housing projects that we're talking about. When in effect, we've developed a level of separation between Build and this fund. Build has its own board of directors, and then the fund actually has its own board of managers as well. In effect, it's Build, we develop the projects, we go to the fund's board of managers and say, here's our project. What do you think about it? And then on that board of managers has a number of committees seated by a number of individuals who can look at the project individually, who have the experience and background to look at projects for this and say, yes, it's success, go forward, here's funding. The initial fund 1 was a capital call of $5 million. And we've been working on about a year to develop, but in terms of actually getting that capital call in at least less than 6 months, we've already raised over $2 million.
Wow.
For the development of this fund. So we're really excited about that. Build now has the capacity to use the funds to go in and develop workforce housing itself. So that's going to be something exciting, something we're looking forward to. And now we actually have capital to provide for our projects.
Workforce housing. Is that going to be individual houses or multifamily, or what's the approach on, or all of it?
It's really all of the above. Build Galveston itself has said that it wants to do 10 single-family infill units here by probably about 2025, at least starting the development. I think that's what we want to do, is making sure that we're providing pathways, I think, for the single-family housing, because we know the city would be very happy to see us develop more single-family housing. But there's just a lot of opportunities, I think, for multifamily development as well, especially when we're talking about working with partners for a lot of these projects, such as the school district, UTMB, some of the foundations who own swaths of land that could participate in these projects. That's probably going to be more of a mixed-use development. There's a number of avenues we can work in. We try to make sure, one, the fund itself that we'll be using, it wasn't limited in scope. That's what we've looked at, and I think there's a number of opportunities that Galveston still has, because a lot of things that we've heard is Galveston is an island, has limited resources, has limited land availability, but we know that all hasn't been tapped into.
Oh yeah, no,
there's still opportunity out there.
Yeah, there is. It's not all taken.
That's one of the things we're working right now, is identifying partners, working with partners that we've already talked to now that we have the fund in place, and so kind of just evolving.
What an interesting series of things you do now.
Yes.
It's a great reach that you're doing. But tell me how, if somebody has an interest in participating in any level, either as a recipient or as a participant or anything else, how do they reach you? What should they know about or present to you when they get a hold of you?
Some of those processes we're still trying to develop, but I would say the best part is, especially for maybe a developer who's potentially looking at using the fund or partnering with Build, is just reach out to us.
Okay.
You can either reach out at connect@build.com, or you can email me personally at tyler@buildgalveston.com. Our phone number is 409-240-9177, and I'm available anytime they need to speak.
Tyler, we've covered about as much time as we have today. We've got an overview, and thank you very much.
Absolutely.
This has been Tyler Robert joining us on the Marmo Podcast, and this is Jim Bradman. Tyler, thanks for joining us.
I appreciate it. Have a good one.